And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
25. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? We don't need any more of these.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another Falcon 9 launch, and this time it is really not your ordinary Starlink. We are looking at a Falcon 9 with a Cygnus on top, getting ready to launch to the International Space Station in just 57 minutes from now. My name is Adrian Bile, I'm your host for today's mission, and I'm joined by a wonderful cast of amazing people that I want to introduce to all of you, starting with Cody. Cody, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, like you said, we don't have an ordinary Starlink this mission. We got some pretty cool things coming up for this flight, so I'm really excited to cover it and share all the information with everyone.
Absolutely, and also I think in the field we have Sawyer on commentary. Sawyer, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a warm day here, but there is definitely a breeze, which is both nice and not nice, as I'm sure we'll talk about here. But glad to be on comms with you, and let's go Cygnus.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if he's on commentary, but we also have Max Evans in the field handling some cameras here. And we also have Jerry Pike in the field with some cameras as well. And I think we also have Julia in the field. And we have behind the scenes, and I could never forget him on any stream whatsoever, it's Jay Keegan today as live stream operator. As always, if you have any questions, make sure to tag at NASA Spaceflight in chat. We have a handy tool here, and we'll make sure to answer as many questions as we can about today's launch. But with that, Cody, do you mind giving us a quick intro? What's this mission all about?
Yep. So today, Falcon 9 is going to be launching the NG-23 crew resupply mission. This is a mission to resupply the ISS with a lot of both cargo, food, scientific equipment, a lot of cool stuff. And this is going to be flying the Cygnus XL spacecraft. So for those who might not know, Cygnus is a spacecraft that I like to think of it as a satellite bus with a can on top of it. It is a large pressurized section that is meant to be sent up to the ISS and then re-enter. And so Cygnus XL is actually a stretched version of the regular enhanced Cygnus vehicle. Originally, Cygnus launched on the Antares launch vehicle, but has since switched over to Falcon 9 for now, and then eventually we'll be going back once the Antares 300 vehicle gets up and going. There you can actually see that Cygnus XL vehicle being revealed in the clean room there before payload encapsulation. Previously, this mission, I believe, was supposed to fly NG-22, but that was damaged in transport. So instead, they switched it over to this XL version of the payload for NG-23 and just put it on the Falcon 9 to let that launch. This specific NG-23 Cygnus is named after Willie C. McCool, who was the pilot on STS-127 when Columbia broke up on reentry. So it is awesome that we're seeing the spacecraft dedicated after that pilot there. But yeah, this will be reaching the ISS, I believe, on Wednesday. We'll be resupplying the crew with lots of food, a couple scientific equipment. I saw some stuff about like cryogenic research. So lots of cool stuff happening specifically inside the payload. But yeah, that's kind of what we got going on inside the payload fairing there.
We go. Thank you so much, Cody, for that summary. There it is, by the way, the beautiful spacecraft, also with European contribution, I might say, as a European here, in that fairing, because for the people who don't know, the pressure vessel is assembled in Italy by Thales Alenia Space. Just kind of wanted to drop that. For that, Sawyer, you're of course our man in the field here. What's the overall weather vibe? What's the overall launch vibe there? Quickly checking in here with 53 minutes in the countdown.
Well, unlike somebody who doesn't want it to go today, who I shall not name, who is German, who is on this broadcast, things are looking pretty good right now. I mean, there is a wind advisory in effect. But right now, there is a light breeze. It's nothing terrible. Of course, you see the clouds rolling through on the frame, but they are moving through very quickly. So right now, the official forecast was 75% favorable for a launch attempt today, with the main concern, of course, being all of the things you're used to seeing with an afternoon launch in Florida, with the potential for storms and lightning in the area. But right now, there is none of that right now, as we get ready for them to give the go for fueling, hopefully shortly, and we get to see this young booster make its debut from Pad 40.
Can I defend myself? I didn't say I don't want it to launch. That's not factually correct. I just said me saying the S word before we go live doesn't influence its chances to launch today.
Of which you then went on to say.
I said it. Like, I will fully admit I said the S word in our pre-live stream talk. So, yeah.
Now we know who to blame for this one.
I really don't think it's on me. I don't have to.
I mean, I hope that it goes. How about that? Let's hope that you break the commentator's curse.
There we go. I like that positive thinking of you, Sawyer, which I'm sure will make the rocket go fly even faster. Although that would be very bad because then it would miss its target. So hopefully it flies as normal as it could do. So this is an interesting. Let's dive into questions here, because there's already quite some here. Kent Haynes here is wondering, Cody, I'm throwing this to you first. Why do they send another supply mission so soon after the Russian resupply?
That is an interesting question. I believe it does have to do with just specific timeline wise. Originally, this mission was supposed to launch, I believe, in June, or earlier for NG-22, and then when that damage happened, they had to delay this a ton. So I think they're just trying to catch up on that whole supply deficit, right? ISS missions, we saw this with like the Starliner, the whole happenings there. They have a very set up schedule for months and months in advance. And so when you have an issue happen, you try your best to minimize the impact on the rest of that schedule so you don't have to reschedule launches that are years planned. So they might just be launching this now because it's as soon as they can, and that they're able to get that supply up to make up for that deficit that they might not have had from that launch that didn't happen earlier.
There we go. So yeah, it's all scheduled, right? Like it's not like the ISS has storage limitation and cannot store all of that things. So
of course, like all of this is built in, like, right? Like the ISS always has an extra supply of stuff for situations where it's like, oh, we just can't launch this thing. We're just gonna stockpile until a little bit later when we can get the resupply spacecraft up there. So there's always that built-in kind of window cushion for any sort of delays in missions.
Right. Plus,
Absolutely.
each vehicle has a totally different purpose when you think about it. Dragon, this one that just went up recently, successfully completed its test of boosting the ISS. But if that didn't work or something happened, Cygnus is capable of boosting the orbit of the ISS. Same deal with Progress, although, again, from different parts of the station. This one is also berthed, not docked. So there's totally different mechanism. If, say, something's wrong with the docking port, you don't have to worry about it. So it's a dissimilar, redundant architecture. Yes. Is a fun way to say it.
And Sawyer, I mean, if you think about it, the infrastructure of the ISS really has developed in that part a lot in the last 10 years or so, from being totally dependent on very, very few rockets and very, very few vehicles, to over time now having the ability to have multiple capabilities, and depending on the capsule, the rocket that is available, and one rocket grounded doesn't mean everything is bad.
Exactly, as it used to be when we had what was it, CRS 7 and the upside down sensor installed on Progress back to back when things got a little iffy there. I believe that was back in 2015. So yeah, redundancy, the ability to have the same thing launch up multiple parts is very nice to have. And again, it's worth noting we also have HTVX coming online too. So there's even more vehicles for more redundancy.
Absolutely. We like redundancy because you never want to get into a situation where, like, the ISS is now crewed for a long period of time. The worst case that, of course, can happen ever, and we'd never want to see that, is if the ISF would have to not be crewed for a period of time. And I believe we see is that part of our equipment there, Sawyer?
Which part? The one on the right is all of our stuff. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, you see there the wave from Jerry out in the fields.
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of things.
Yeah, we have you see the big robo tracker is back, baby. So hopefully we get some stunning views. Yes, that's what Jerry's pointing to right there. So that should be some good views, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we hope to have some amazing views for you today here. There's really a lot of crew out there, and yeah, we'll get hopefully something to view in 47 minutes from now. Okay, let's see here. I will actually throw this one to Sawyer because Sawyer's at the cave, so this makes sense to throw to Sawyer. Jenny Brown in the super chat is wondering, I've been seeing a proposal for a new landing zone near Slick 40. When will we see that be debuted in the future?
I mean, I'm sure they want to get it online as soon as possible. As you probably know, this launch, the booster will be landing back at LZ2, so it is an RTLS mission. But LZ1 is no longer SpaceX's. The lease is up on that. So right now they just have LZ2, and that lease is also set to expire soon. So I know they went through all the environmental impacts. They did a lot of surveys on that. So it seems like everything at this point, they've got the final FONSI, as it's called. I'm trying to remember the exact acronym, but basically they're good to start working on it. So hopefully in the near future, we'll start seeing clearing happening at the Cape. So something we'll look out for in our next flyovers.
There we go. Let's see when we see movement there. With 45 minutes to go here on the clock, as Falcon 9 goes through the countdown. Let me see here. Cody, interesting question here from Astrophysics. If a Falcon 9 booster able to continue the mission if 2 Merlin engines are out?
I know that this is tough because I don't know the specific engine out capabilities in flight, but I do believe it at least has one engine out capability. Later on in flight, we saw that we can see this across multiple different vehicles. The main vehicle that comes to mind is the shuttle, where you had different phases of flight where you can have certain engine out capabilities and still have a successful mission, where it was like 2 engine abort to orbit or something like that. I'm pretty sure that they have at least one engine out capability, but as they go later and later on into the flight, they might actually be able to increase that capability out more as they use more and more fuel. The rocket becomes lighter, and they're able to still gain enough velocity there. So it all just depends on how much weight the vehicle has, and also the asymmetries and thrust, right? Is the gimbling of the engines able to account for the torque that an engine out would cause? And so I'm not too sure on the specifics of what engine out capabilities there are on Falcon 9, but I'm pretty sure they would at least have one engine out capability to get to orbit.
Yeah, I think it very much depends. Like, I don't know either. Like, this is a good discussion question. I think it really depends on how close we are to Miko. Like, if it's 10 seconds before Miko, yeah, probably they can do it. I think that Falcon 9 can compensate. If it's like right after liftoff, yeah,
no,
that's tough.
It
I mean,
does
the
also
early days,
depend
we've seen them launch with one engine out. Again, that goes way back to the earlier versions, not Block 5, but it has been done before.
Absolutely. I think one engine out, they can really do like 2 engine outs, though. That's tough, right? I mean,
It also depends on the payload, right? Because payload mass is a huge consideration there. So if you have a much lighter set of smaller satellites where you maybe have a stubby nozzle on the second stage, you might be able to make it through MECO with more engines out compared to if you have a full stack of Starlinks in there.
absolutely. It's like, I mean, with 2 engines out, you're approaching a thrust to weight ratio of like basically 1. That's not so great.
No.
At that point, you start to. There are some famous rocket examples, which I won't name here, but there are some famous examples. Alex also in the back channel mentioning CRS-1 and Starlink version 1.019 had engine outs during ascent. So there we go. Somebody's mentioning that an MVAC out is not really that great. Yes. If the MVAC is the one going out, that's not great for your mission. To put it like that. That has no redundancy. The MVAC needs to work. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Sawyer, this one goes to you. Gabriel GG is wondering, since I'm back at home with my parents from an air show, I'm going to ask this question. Which one is louder, rockets or fighter jets?
That's a good question. I think it also depends which rocket, how close you are to it versus which plane and how close you are to it. I mean, the fact that you have this thing with all the sonic booms, with the little crackling as it goes, and it's more sustained. I mean, yeah, you may get more of a shock from a quick blast of the Blue Angels flying overhead. It's still very impressively loud, but the rocket is more a sustained loud. So take that as you will.
Yeah, I think standing next to each other, I think the rocket would probably beat it just on pure force. But I'm also not sure. Like, I would have to look it up, and I'm not fully sure. What I don't have to look up, because we actually got confirmation from it from SpaceX, is that the weather at this point has improved to 85% favorable for liftoff, and all systems are looking good. So yeah, that's looking good. And we should probably talk about the characteristics of today's launch window, and I say window here, Cody, in a very like in a brackets kind of way. Why is this window so short? Why is this an instantaneous launch opportunity? How comes that this is so restricted?
So the window is basically just a little sliver, right? The reason that it's an instantaneous launch window is because what Falcon 9 is trying to do is orbital rendezvous, which is extremely complex. So not only do you have to make it to a specific orbit, but you also have to match up with another specific orbit of the International Space Station. Of course, you aren't immediately docking, right? We aren't doing like a direct orbital rendezvous. But to be in the correct phasing for a Hohmann transfer or any sort of orbital rendezvous, you have to launch at a very specific time unless you want to wait on orbit for a super long amount of time, which on something like Cygnus that's carrying perishables, you don't really want to do that because you want to get the astronauts that from home food or stuff like that immediately. So what they're going to do is they if they don't hit the instantaneous window, then they'll go for another attempt where they will have a much faster transfer window to actually reach the ISS there.
There we go. So yeah, the good thing is we already know in 40 minutes from now we either see a rocket launch or, well, we don't. Technically that's always correct, but you know what I mean. It's not much that they can adjust today. So we will see. And we are just 10 minutes away or so from seeing, actually less than 10 minutes, from seeing some frost on this beautiful rocket here, which we get some amazing closer views here today. There's a countdown timeline. In just 2 minutes from now, the launch director will hopefully verify go for propellant load. But based on that SpaceX X post, I feel rather confident that they will do that today. And then, of course, it goes into RP1 loading and liquid oxygen loading on the first stage, RP1 loading on the second stage, and we will move through the milestones as we go. But so far, weather seems to be good. Still a bit windy, Sawyer, or all good.
I mean, the breeze is dying down a bit. It's still, I'm sure you can occasionally hear it coming through my headset. It's definitely still there, but it's not as so hard to hear everyone because it's that windy anymore. And again, as of right now, it's just a wind advisory. It's not like it's a crazy wind warning or anything like that. Just advisory that it could be above 18 knots.
There we go. So see, so far, Falcon 9 is happy with these conditions, and SpaceX is happy with these conditions. So let's hope for that. We are very happy with some support coming in here. Mr. Fluffy02 with Super Chat saying, no dropping. Yes, please, no dropping. Mr. G becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much. And then also a name that I sadly cannot pronounce here, upgrading to Capcom. So thank you all so much for that generous support. As always, you're the reason we can do this and can roll out here with so many people and cover a launch like this. And hopefully deliver some amazing tracking in 38 minutes from now. Another question from Astrophysics here, Cody, that I really like. When SpaceX says they reuse the Falcon 9 booster for example, the 30th time, does it mean they haven't replaced ever any engine, tank, tube, or anything?
Well, it more so means that they've gone through and either done repairs, but kind of a ship of Theseus question. If they replace a Merlin, is it still the same, booster? They would just go through and repair and inspect after a certain amount of flights. I believe there's like a milestone at 20 flights for a deeper inspection or something like that. But they go through and they inspected the vehicle. But part of Falcon 9 being a rapidly reusable launch vehicle is the fact that after every single flight, you are not replacing a part. You are inspecting it and then being like, yep, this looks good, send it. And that's how we're able to get the super quick turnarounds on this vehicle. Now with Starship, what we'll hopefully see is the reduction of that need for an inspection. So you could just put it back on the pad and then launch it. So yeah, that's just at the core of SpaceX's goal of, hey, we need to be a rapidly reusable launch company. So we need to reduce the amount of steps needed to get a rocket down on the ground and then back on the pad for launch.
Absolutely. I always think about the serial numbers more as the serial numbers for the body, like the body of the rocket, and that doesn't mean that they don't switch engines. Like you change tires on your car. So
if you spot something bad, you're gonna swap out the engine. You aren't just gonna risk it on that normal engine there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean like every single part here has flown for X amount of time. For example, for today, it would be the 4th flight, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this booster has previously flown the Starlink 12-10 mission, the Axiom 4 mission, the Crew 11 mission. So this is a pretty young booster considering the fleet that SpaceX currently has, and a pretty storied booster at that, launching Axiom 4 and Crew 11.
Absolutely. Kind of cool history here with Axiom 4 and Crew 11, and now also Cygnus. Like just one Starlink so far. That is quite an impressive, and you can see some cryo activity there in the bottom left as the tank farm is getting ready to supply Falcon 9 here very, very soon, and then Falcon 9 will hopefully get Sventi. Look at that in the bottom left. That's always beautiful to see with these closer cameras we get for these missions. So
yeah, and if I can mention something about the booster, Adrian, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
As I was alluding to earlier, this is the booster's first flight from Slick 40, including the Starlink mission. All of its other flights have been from 39A, so this is its first liftoff from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
I bet you that's a very rare occurrence. Like, it seems very rare that a booster flies 3 times without ever touching Slick 40 if it's on the East Coast.
Especially with the Starlink, yeah.
Yeah. The rare 39A Starlink. So, kinda cool. Let's see here. Next question. So, sorry, I'm throwing this one to you. Just keeping it back and forth here. Isabella's wondering, how would resupply mission work to Gateway? So, Gateway being the planned or proposed moon station.
That's a really good question. I mean, part of the plan for Gateway is that unlike the ISS, it would not be permanently crewed. So while the ISS has had permanent human residence for about 25 years, uh, Gateway, the crew would stay up there for about a month, maybe a little bit longer, and then return home. So that allows them time to send either autonomous vehicles ahead of time or something that the crew could grapple and dock then. I don't know if they ever fully said what the resupply vehicle would be, but it's safe to assume that given the landers that are set to potentially dock there and use that as a kind of waiting hub for landings, maybe Starship.
There we go. Let's hope it still all happens. I mean, let's be real.
Well.
Gateway is in a bit of a limbo all the time, so let's hope we get to see Gateway. That's my biggest hope, because I've seen it in person, and yeah, of course, we also have Dragon XL, which is also another vehicle proposed for it. I want to see all of these vehicles, but I also want to see Frost on this vehicle, which we should see any second now here. Frost body. Do I already see Frost?
I haven't quite seen anything yet. Oh,
I'm looking. It's hard to tell because there's the area right above the landing legs where they kind of wipe it off sometimes to check the welds there. But it looks like it might have started.
Alex is saying 1 minute to Frost. Okay, it's 1 minute.
Alex saying everything I'm wrong. There we go. Hopefully we'll see it.
It's I said it as well, so we are both proven wrong by Alex once again, Sawyer.
That's all right. It's Alex. I bow down to his knowledge.
It's normal for I think if you're talking about Falcon, you occasionally will get a correction from Alex. It's a thing. I think, yeah. Now I'm pretty sure it's rising. Like it looks like it's rising on the left and right. There it is. Yeah. So we have Frost on the Falcon 9. There we go. Fueling has begun. Nice. So that is kind of neat here, as we are now progressing through the steps here. And Cody, that's always something I would like to point out for viewers who are maybe tuning in for the first time. That the body you're seeing there, that's also the tank, right? Like it's not like there's a tank inside this rocket.
right. No, yeah. To save weight, what you do is instead of, I need a structural bit of the outside of the vehicle to withstand the aerodynamic and structural loads. Instead, what you do is you just make your tank a little bit stronger, so you can both hold the liquid propellant as well as having that structural element to it. So sometimes you'll see ISO gridded out pieces of tank and stuff like that. So yeah, it's rocket structures are pretty cool. That's what I want to do.
Yes, I agree. And somebody's asking, isn't Alex on vacation? That doesn't mean that he doesn't watch Falcon 9. That's for sure. That's a thing. So yeah, Falcon 9 progressing into the countdown here, already halfway through our pre-coverage hour here. As this is going through here. Let's also look at more questions here. Tiger One wondering, where are they going to land this booster? This will be an RTLS, correct, Sawyer?
Exactly. This will be landing back at LZ2, which is just a couple miles away from Slick 40, where this is launching from, over at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The whole area was formerly LC13, and they've already given up LZ1 as the lease expired on that. And for now, they still have LZ2, but that lease is set to expire soon as well.
There we go. So some beautiful RTLS coverage today. I'm looking forward to that. It's a rare treat that we see RTLS because most of the launches, of course, are Starlink. Then there's Starlinks, of course, because of the weight, cannot do an RTLS. So that's gonna be a cool thing today.
Oh, absolutely. The weather looks spectacular in terms of visibility for the landing. Hopefully the winds hold out so that everything is good for once it touches down at LZ2, almost at LZ1 there. But yeah, fingers crossed, everything works for the landing part. And of course, that it launches in just a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. We are well on track for that. At this point in time, I also want to welcome our viewers on the Popular Science channel who are joining us here for today's launch of the Cygnus NG-23 mission on Falcon 9. That's a SpaceX rocket. This mission will go to the International Space Station in just 29 minutes from now. And you're looking at the rocket already being fueled and in countdown. And we are just answering your questions in chat here and going through everything you need to know for this mission. Let's see here. Whenever he was wondering, Cody, is this XL version of Cygnus using the XL fairing version SpaceX were developing for the future?
Not quite. This is just a normal fairing. Yeah, the XL, the extra large fairing is actually quite a bit taller than the normal fairing. These are some flight proven fairing halves. They've actually been recovered and used in previous flights. And so this is one half is the third flight for it, and the other half is the sixth flight for this fairing half. And so, this is not the extended fairing there. I believe we'll see those on Falcon Heavy missions. But yeah, not the extended fairing, just the normal one.
There we go. And the normal fairing of Falcon 9 Sawyer, still like a bus size, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's... Oops, sorry, the wind picked up. It is definitely not small, that is for sure. I mean, yeah, the fact that this still fits in it and some of the other payloads that have fit inside this, it's still quite large.
Yeah, I can tell you, I had the chance to stand next to a Cygnus at Thales in Italy, and Cygnus is not small. Like, it was Cygnus XL, and these are huge vehicles, and Falcon 9 always looks a bit smaller than it is, I feel like, because of the ratio between length to weight. So it always looks a bit smaller than it is, but it's huge. It's a huge rocket, and it's a huge fairing. So yeah,
I'd say that. I'd say scale is such a hard thing to get across on these live streams. I was a space fan for so long, and eventually a couple years ago, I got to see a Falcon 9 at the Houston at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where they have the big display with the Falcon 9 core stage or the first stage. And man, you don't really get the scale until you're walking under it and looking at it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's rockets lose perspective because they tend to stand next to giant tall things. And then you see them next to everything things, and you're like, oh, these are huge. Sawyer, a question here from Mr. G. Has there ever been any abnormal launch in which the rocket exploded on the ground, and with the infrastructure around the launch pad able to withstand the explosion if such a thing would happen?
I mean, thankfully, we haven't seen any recently. The most recent one in the U.S. that I could think of was Orb 3, which was down at Wallops Island, Virginia. That pad was quite toasty for a while. The only other one I could think of, too, is Amos 6, when that had an issue during its pre-static fire test. The pad takes months to recover after that. Of course, you have to replace a lot of things. The lighting infrastructure, the ground infrastructure, of course, all of the propellant tanks, things like that. Hydraulics, there's a lot of work that needs to go into it. So that is the worst case scenario for any vehicle, because then you have to worry about all of that GSE that needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. And hell diving, Kerbal is also throwing a quick question to you, Sawyer, directly. Wait, is Sawyer there? Yeah, you're there, right?
I am currently near the Turn Basin area of the Kennedy Space Center, with a beautiful view over at Space Launch Complex 40 from here. So on the KSC side, looking over at the Space Force side.
Absolutely. And again, just to quickly recap, we also have Max, we have Jerry, and we have Julia in the field today as well. There they are. So always a full house here for these kind of ISS missions. Cody, I have a question here for you, which Razzle is wondering. I think I will be able to see this. Which way is this launching? South or west? Or where's this payload going?
So this payload is going to be going up the kind of eastern seaboard of the U.S. It's going to be going along in a northeasterly trajectory. Now that's very intentional. The ISS was put into a trajectory that would both be accessible from the Kennedy Space Center And from the launch site in Kazakhstan, I'm blanking on the name exactly, but it allows for both Soyuz and U.S. vehicles to launch to the ISS when both launch sites are at very different positions longitudinally on the Earth. So that's pretty cool. But that trajectory just allows for you to be able to actually see this launch. If you live along the East Coast, if you look up over the horizon just a little bit after launch, depending on how close you are, you should be able to see a little yellow streak going across, well, not streak, but a little yellow dot going across the sky as this ascends into the atmosphere.
Yeah, I can tell you, as a European, I have also started to look at the cloud cover, because the northeast launches to the ISS from the Cape sometimes line up so you can see them in West Germany, like especially the like second stage burns and everything, and like sometimes vehicles like departing each other, and you see like thrusters. It sometimes lines up. I don't think it's the case here. I would have to look at the maps, but as always, I recommend, if you're European and you have a chance to potentially see a spacecraft above you, just always look. It doesn't take that much to look out, and maybe you see something. So that's always at least worth a try. 22 minutes to go here. And the rocket at this point, very well frosty. Look at that. That's a lot of frost there. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's see here. What else? Some people mentioning a certain Amos 6 when we talked about pad explosions. Let's not jinx that.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that that's the exact same launch pad that they're launching from today, then, should I?
I would say it's not really the same anymore. It's like everything has to be rebuilt.
Yeah, I was here right after it exploded. The lightning towers looked more like burnt matches.
Yeah, the Amos 6 was really like, if when we talked about if the launch pad withstands an explosion like that, no, it doesn't. It needs a lot of work after that. So yeah, 21 minutes from now, we are closing in into a certain vent, Cody. So you can already prepare. In a minute from now, I will ask you about that vent. One quick question here from Slick40. Funny name. Sorry, I'm throwing this to you. How far is LZ2 away from Slick40?
I don't know the exact mileage off the top of my head. I'm sure Alex, even on his vacation, will still come in and give me the exact number. But I believe it's about 4-ish miles away. It's not that far. It's worth noting that for the most part, when you go down the Cape, the numbers do go kind of chronologically. So you got 39B, 39A, and then it gets a little weird with 41, 40, and then you work your way down. So it was 13, so it's not too far.
There we go. So not that much cross range the booster has to cover.
Alex is typing though, so we'll have to see what the number is at some point.
Oh, Alex is actually on the road, so we will not get an exact measurement here. We're putting too much pressure on these questions. Like sometimes I feel like it's like, yeah, please do answer magic.
Yeah, I mean, from where we are at the press site, it is behind a bunch of trees, so it's not like we have clear line of sight of here from 40 directly over to LZ2. It's a little more clear when you're actually over at the Space Force side, but from where we are, it's far enough away that the trees do kind of block the landing part, but thankfully not the upcoming 20-minute, 20-second vent.
Absolutely. Okay. There it is, Cody. What is that vent?
Yes, this is the famous 20-minute, 20-second vent, and this is a great sign that we're on track for liftoff here. What this is doing is it's conditioning and clearing the lines that transports the liquid oxygen oxidizer up to the second stage. So on the tower behind the vehicle, it has to send up all that liquid oxygen, and the liquid oxygen being a cryogenic propellant means that you can't just send it immediately through a pipe. Right? If you were to send a cryogenic propellant through a steel pipe without, or steel would be a bad pipe to send a cryogenic through, but any sort of pipe, it would immediately crack just because of how absolutely cold these propellants are. And so what you do is you start flowing very slowly to chill down these lines and prepare them. before they will send up all that LOX to the second stage, so that the second stage will have all the LOX it needs for launch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that explanation. And that vent will, of course, go on for about 3 more minutes. And then Falcon 9 enters the last of its 4 tank into loading. So, going well so far. Sawyer, do you fancy a question about trajectories and orbital dynamics?
Sure, why not?
Adrian Gillis is wondering, question, why is it that launches from Russia are only a few hours to the ISS, and from the US it takes almost a day?
Well, that's because there are very, very, very few opportunities where you get it to line up that you actually have a 2-hour rendezvous. They are very rare, but Russia does try for them because if you think about it, Russia will launch in basically any weather. Blizzard, no problem. Rain, no problem. We launch from Kazakhstan. So they're willing to try that more. Here, obviously, we're in Florida, where things are a lot more finicky and sensitive with weather. So as a result, they typically go for as short as they can, but also just any window that will allow them to launch. So they technically could, but the number of opportunities for that to come up are so small that it's not worth trying to schedule everything around it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And with that, just 17 minutes and 50 seconds remain in this countdown. Everything so far from our view appears smooth. We also have the weather at this point being at 85% go, which is something we want to hear. Everything seems to be going. Cody, let's also talk about the payload that could be on a Cygnus like this. What is actually, when we say ISS resupply, what does that mean? What's all on an ISS resupply?
Right. So on an ISS resupply, what they'll do is they'll bring up lots of experiments, right? So one way that you actually get stuff up there is you got to launch it. And sometimes they send experiments up on vehicles like Dragon or Soyuz, and other times they send them up on Cygnus. The other kind of part of Cygnus's mission is to bring up food. So a lot of this will be dehydrated food that they'll rehydrate on the ISS, but also a different thing is, whoa, the camera's getting right there. The other thing is they bring up perishable foods, right? If you're an astronaut on the ISS, you don't often get to eat an apple. So whenever you get these resupply craft coming up, they usually send little treats with them, right? Because you want to make sure that your astronauts are happy. So you'll send up some fresh goods up there. I believe on this flight, they have oysters and crabs on this one. So a nice treat up there for the astronauts. Yeah, those are not experiments. Those are food. So yeah, if I was on the ISS and I had to eat dehydrated food all day, I would very much appreciate a little bit of mass being set aside on a resupply to bring up a nice little treat.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's really good for the moral, probably, to just get something nice, something not dehydrated. So, and there's also like sometimes some personal items. It's all depending on, and that's why it's so important, right, Cody, to get more of these supply missions, because the more they are, the more flexibility they have to include stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. The more, like you said, the more dissimilar architectures there are, the more opportunities you have for these launches, and the more you can make your astronauts comfortable. And the more launches there are also means you're probably reducing the cost of spaceflight if you're able to launch so much. So seeing more and more of these resupply flights is always good, because we know that the astronauts are going to be happy when they get their presents up there, whether that be crabs or oysters or some stuff from home.
Absolutely. And Sawyer, correct me if I'm wrong here, but closer to Christmas, I'm not sure if it will be this one, but probably at some point during a resupply mission, there's also sometimes like presents being sent to the ISF and stuff like that. There's stuff like that, right? That
absolutely
sometimes happen.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll even send things up ahead of time. Like there's a chance they may have their Christmas gear already loaded up in a vehicle like this, so that when the holiday comes, they just have to decorate the ISS and boom, there you go. But a lot of this is typically used as well to get fresh fruits and vegetables and other things like that up to the station. Normally, things like that are a late load, although for this mission, they did not exercise the option of a late load, which means going out to the pad while the vehicle is lowered and adding in either some of those fresh perishable things or live animals, things like that.
There we go. So, yeah. Always nice. And there you can see Falcon 9 in a still horizontal configuration. That would have been where they also could be doing some late load. But again, as Sawyer said, not used for this flight as confirmed on the press conference. So, yeah. Everything again going good here as we are just 14 minutes away here from the launch of Falcon 9. AC Gypsy mentioning eating at Rusty's for this launch, great suggestion, NSF. Not sure who suggested that, but that sounds like a great suggestion. So, there we go. Hope you enjoy your lunch for launch. I'm not even sure about the answer for this. I kind of want to look at the back channel here, but some people are wondering if this will have a stubby nozzle. And
performance-wise, I don't believe so. Whenever you're launching a mission to the ISS like this, you want as much performance out of it as possible because it's not like a rideshare mission where you have a ton of small sats that are just going to general orbit. You want to pack as much mass into Cygnus as possible, and to get the most efficiency out of that second stage, they're going to want to use the full nozzle. And I think this is a good use of that extra material there.
Yeah. I could see that. Also, it's not cursed, which is nice.
Yes.
So let's hopefully see that fully bright Merlin 1D nozzle in 12 minutes from now. Let's see here. What else do I have in terms of questions? Some people are mentioning. Oh, let's talk about the cruise ships here, because some Ethan here mentioning that he joined from the cruise ship stream. Sawyer. Is there will they stop the cruise ships from joining and leaving during a launch like this? Is there a port stop and everything going on? Sawyer is, I think, talking while muted.
Yes, sorry, the wind had picked up a bit. They do have the notice to mariners, the not Mars, that they put out as a way to try and prevent people from going into said area. That includes holding off leaving the port for a couple extra minutes. It helps that this is an instant launch window, but as we've seen in the past, sometimes boats ignore that and cruise ships still go anyway, but hopefully that is not the case.
There we go. So yeah, there were some wayward cruise ships in the past that we absolutely loved. What I love even more is, of course, our amazing gear that you can get at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And the one thing I want to highlight today is our thrust collection, because I think has been a bit of time since we mentioned that. So there's our thrust collection. You can see it in the collection tab. At the top, we have Raptor, we have Merlin, we have RS-25 for the shuttle fans, we have BE-4 for the New Glenn fans. So that's our amazing 4 engines that we are promoting here in our thrust collection. You can get them on stickers, on mugs, on shirts, on hoodies, and I think it's just a very, very cool design that it's a bit of a almost like an everyday wear. I like it because it looks a bit not as clearly rocketry, but it's still something that people will recognize. So it's something I really enjoy for everyday wearing. You can also see Max and D there wearing shirts of the thrust collection there in Starbase. Always cool to see that. Again, shop.nasaspaceflight.com. That's where you can get all of that sick gear. Not only that, but just much, much more. And with that, let's go back to the rocket launch here. And with that, oh, hello. We have 10 minutes to go here. With the we are seeing Wade here, also in the field. Sorry, I was not prepared for that transition, But Wade is also in the field here for us. Dr. WD-40 providing so many people in the field today. We really have everybody. So
when you have an RTLS launch, it's quite a sight to see. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there hoping to catch that landing.
absolutely. And I mean, it's great conditions to watch that landing today, right? Like, this is almost picture perfect. So this could be really, really nice. It's not quite like it's not jellyfish, of course, right, Sawyer? It's more like almost like sunset, golden hour-ish.
Yeah, I mean, golden hour, we should have some beautiful colors on the rocket, but no, the sun isn't even set yet, and it's usually best 20 to 30 minutes after that sunset. So no jelly, but we'll see if we get some cool plume interactions after first and second stage set.
Absolutely, and maybe some cool vapor cones and everything. Like, we have been seeing some crazy Falcon 9 launches lately in terms of really, really cool footage. So let's see what we see here in 8 minutes and 30 seconds, Cody. Another thing that is coming up is, of course, the engine show, which is the next big milestone of Falcon 9 here. So, Cody, why are they chilling down an engine? I mean, it's a rocket engine, right? It gets hot.
Yes, rocket engine is hot. Well, yes, the flames and the combustion itself of rocket engines are incredibly hot. I'm able to melt steel very easily. But the problem is, when you have something like that, how do you contain that, right? How do you contain the heat from a rocket engine? Well, what one of the solutions is to flow your super chilled cryogenic propellants through your engine, through little channels, to take a lot of that heat away. And so what the Merlin engine does is it's able to flow propellants through parts of the engine to cool it down so that, it doesn't instantly melt. And part of that process is engine chill, right? Just like with the transporter back there that's flowing propellant, the liquid oxygen into the second stage, you don't want to shock chill your engines. Those small, delicate channels inside your engines are going to be fragile. So you do not want to shock chill those either. But yeah, there's just a lot of little channels throughout the engine cooling it down.
I always imagined this like a bit of almost like glass or anything. Like, if you put a glass suddenly in a ice bath, you know what happens to like a glass, right? It shatters. Now imagine that happening to metal as well, if you suddenly cryoshock it. So it can happen to every material. So that's the thing. And also, I believe we are into engine chill at this point. So it is the final step here going forward, where Falcon 9 is preparing for launch. Some people are asking if we see this launch passing over Europe. Potentially. It will be interesting to see. I'm also keeping an eye out, I can tell you that, from Germany here. But I honestly am not very hopeful with the cloud cover here right now. So we will see. Bradley York becoming a Pad Rep member here. Thank you so much for that. And then we have also Mr. Fluffy02 with Super Chat saying, according to Marine Tracker, it looks like all the cruise ships left already and headed out southeast. Yep, they cleared, so we don't expect any cruise ship issues today. Then we have Bradley York again with a Super Chat saying, shout out to my beautiful girlfriend's first launch. I love you, Jess. That's a beautiful, beautiful message here, York, and I wish your girlfriend the best of, good first launch. I hope you enjoy it together. So, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Almost through the countdown. Look at that beautiful frosty Falcon 9 here. And we'll see if we see a launch 5 minutes and 20 seconds from now. So, let's see here. What else do I have in the question queue? Cody, will the XL Cygnus spacecraft actually replace the normal version to the ISS?
Yes, yeah. So once the newer Antares vehicle enters service, that will be taking over from the it's not extended. What is the term? Enhanced. That's right. It was called the Cygnus Enhanced before. Now the new Cygnus XL will be replacing that with the newer Antares 300. The newer Antares 300 is going to be using 7 Firefly Miranda engines. So it's going to have actually a lot more upmass capability than previous Centauri vehicles. That's the whole reason they wanted to actually do this block upgrade to Cygnus, is so they can utilize that extra capability. So it should replace older Cygnus vehicles just because they have more capability, and you might as well send up more mass if you have more of that capability.
There we go. The strong bag is retracting now. There you can see that strong bag opening, and with that, we are also retracting Sawyer from this broadcast, who will leave us until after the launch. What a segue, Sawyer!
I approve of the segue, and let's go Cygnus, let's go Falcon 9. We'll talk to you after.
There we go. 4 minutes to go. And that strong back is now moving carefully back. And of course, that strong back supplying the rocket here with all kinds of commodities and fuel and data. And Cody, you don't want to have that strong back too close to your rocket.
No, yeah. As you could imagine, the exhaust of a rocket is quite hot, right? Like earlier I said, it could just melt steel. So when you have these very specialized connectors that have to have seals that are able to hold back cryogenics, you don't want those things interacting with that hot plume. And so what you do is, whether it's a static tower that has moving arms, or you have a mobile tower like this that is able to fully move, you need to get those cables away. In the past, with the space shuttle program, there was a tail end umbilical that actually had a plate that would pull the umbilical off and slam a plate down over it, and stuff like that. So lots of different ways to all do the same thing of make sure that your fragile umbilicals don't get fried by the exhaust there.
There we go. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. 45, sorry. And the rocket is wrapping up. The tank loading, it's applying the flight pressure to the tanks, everything. The rocket is alive, you can really hear it. And of course, the rocket computer will soon take over that countdown, and then the Falcon 9 will be considered in startup, which is basically where the rocket computer takes over the countdown and then fully autonomously drives the launch, kinda. And the weather still looking good. Weather will be, of course, finally signed off by the launch director at 40 or so seconds. So, yeah, going good. 120 seconds to go. And of course, the Cygnus vehicle, we should point this out because Dragon sits on the Falcon 9 without a fairing. Cygnus is inside this fairing. So, inside of this fairing is the complete spacecraft that will be launched today, and you will see a normal fairing deploy. There's the return of that vent, and that means the second stage locked load is complete. And Cody, they do a quick purge of that TE again, right?
Yeah, you just want to make sure there's no excess in there. You're trying to basically get rid of as much gaseous oxygen inside of the tanks as possible, so that when you're totally disconnected from the lines, you are not flowing anything anymore. You have as much liquid in there as possible, so you have the most fuel as possible for launch.
Absolutely. At this point, the tank farm has done its job. Beautiful audio we are getting here. And the Falcon 9 is taking over the countdown in 2, 1, now. That's the Falcon 9 now in control. And from here on out, it's the show of that rocket. The ground support has done its job. And we will start to listen in. I will actually, I will do something unusual here. From 10 seconds on, because we have this beautiful audio, I will just listen in, and we will just hear what we hear. So I would say at this point, Cygnus NG-23, good luck. We'll see you on the other side, and let's enjoy the pet sounds.
Falcon 9 is ready. Engine 1 is ready. Falcon 9 is ready. Engine 1 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 is ready. Engine 1
Some beautiful audio here as we are already 90 seconds into the flight here. Look at that plume expansion there, Cody.
Yep. Yeah, that's happening because as we get higher and higher into the atmosphere becomes thinner and thinner, so there's not as much gas pushing on that exhaust, so it's starting to slowly expand there.
Absolutely. Just about a minute or so left in the first stage flight here. That plume really expanding now. Almost no atmosphere left there at this point. So far, amazing tracking here also from the team. And remember, this is an RTLS. This booster will return to the launch site. We'll return to LZ2, where we'll see a touchdown in just, well, 5 minutes or so. Less than 5 minutes, actually, from now. That's main engine cutoff. And that is stage separation. And we are now waiting for the ignition of the second stage. That it is there as well. That's the Merlin vacuum engine. And now we also should see the beginning. There it is of the boost back burn of the Falcon 9 booster. Whee! There it flies back. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's insane to see like two spacecraft just interacting there from the ground. It's so awesome. It's not like a normal MECO where you just have your first stage drop away and the first stage here is controlled. It's firing its engines. It's maneuvering. It's so cool to see from these ground cameras here that we have.
And there is the Cygnus spacecraft, and there the wow! Look at this shot.
Wow,
that's so zoomed in. You can see the fairings, how they like tumble. That's crazy. There you can see the boost back burn still going. I think that's a shutdown on the boost back.
Yep, and you can see those little puffs of the RCS thrusters there.
Yeah, this booster is coming back now. Has already adjusted. Now it's just like micro steering itself with these RCS. But that is what is coming here. You can see it approaching the Cape team, basically. Always wonderful how this looks. And the next part of this booster will be the reorientation before entry burn. And there you can see the beginning of that reorientation on the onboard cameras. Like some connection, but you can see it also here on our cameras. Yeah, you can really see how it turns. This is magnificent.
This is crazy. I always love RTLS views just because you can see this like massive, like 22-story tall building-sized vehicle just flipping around in the upper atmosphere at incredible speeds. It's an amazing sight to see.
Yeah, absolutely correct. There you can see really how it like slowly flips. It starts to show its engine more and more to the Cape again. More and more getting that. And the entry burn just a few seconds away here. And that entry burn will then be captured here by Jerry, I think. All of these micro puffers. 40 seconds to the entry burn. Look at that.
You can even you can see the details on the booster. You can see the grid fins. It's awesome.
And there you can really see how it enters this high angle of attack now. Like it's almost horizontally sometimes.
Yeah, what it's doing right there is it's basically redirecting the little atmospheric air there is up there to carry it closer to the landing pad. It's almost gliding the booster back without wings. It's crazy to see.
There comes the entry burn. That's one engine. And that's 3 engines. That's the shield. Like, that's the fire shield protecting it against the heat.
Yep, supersonic retro propulsion.
Absolutely crazy. And that's shut down. And now you see that booster really like... Now it gets into this atmosphere. Look at that angle of attack.
And this
That's
is where
bonkers.
This is where the grid fins really put in their work. They're steering the booster right now to get it closer and closer to the landing pad on LZ2.
Yeah, and that's our photographers actively tracking a very, very fast object here. This is insane. Ow. Look at that! That's so cool! They still have it! It's just... You can see how much it's offset against its like actual direction. Wow. And going through the clouds here. Will be hard to reacquire after that. And there it is, landing burn. And I believe that's touchdown. Wow.
Wow.
The sonic booms, and that's touchdown on LZ2. And I can already tell you that we have some pretty... Can I say that we have some good replays of this? Is that okay, back channel? Yes, you can. Wow. Okay, I will quote this. It's a holding sonic boom, then a wow, then something I can't say on broadcast, then then yes you can, then wow. So that's gonna be nice. Stand by for replays. This is gonna be good replays. Focusing on the primary mission here, we can see shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine just on time. And the next step will be the Cygnus deploy, correct, Cody?
Yeah, so Cygnus will deploy at T plus 14 minutes 33 seconds, and that's when the spacecraft will be on its own. And then eventually the second stage will make a re-entry burn to put it down somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
I believe we have Sawyer back, and Sawyer, that was sick. Looking if we have Sawyer back? I thought we have Sawyer back. Potentially have Sawyer back.
Yes, we do. My goodness, that was absolutely amazing, that one. It was such a clear day. You got a great view, the lighting hitting the booster just right. The sound was spectacular, and that is one of the clearest landings I've seen in a long time for back at LZ1 and or 2. And as I was saying, it makes up for the whimper that we didn't hear after the final landing at LZ1, because boy, did that pack a punch.
Absolutely. And yeah, that was I'm looking forward to see what Jerry captured there, because I'm hearing there will be some really, really sick things that we are about to see. Nice. I'm just excited for that. So you have some exciting replay watching ahead of us here. And that is of course Cygnus here. That is the spacecraft that will make its way now to the ISS in a bit. You can see all kinds of external payloads attached to it as well.
Yeah, I was about to say
Okay.
it looked like a CubeSat on the side there. I'm not sure if they have any secondary payloads on this.
That
There
very much
are
looked like a
CubeSats.
CubeSat. Yeah.
Yeah, these are meant to be deployed after it unbursts from the station before it re-enters.
Ooh, nice. So they will stay on for quite a bit. Yeah, you can see that. Like, I think it's almost like 2 CubeSats.
Yeah. Or that might be a 4 CubeSat dispenser and then one big one there. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Also, you can see the full-size Merlin vacuum engine. Be lovely. Absolutely cool views today from orbit. And we are just waiting, of course, for that deployment. Replays are being processed, I'm being told. So we are working on that as well. We're getting ready to show you that. And it will be awesome, I can tell you that. The deployment should be in about 3 minutes from now. That's when the Falcon 9 will have completed its primary mission. And secondary, to be fair. The secondary is already done. With great success.
Yes. I mean, we visually saw it there. That landing, it looked perfect. I mean, the clear shots there. The secondary objective was definitely successful there.
Absolutely. They make it look easy.
Mhm.
And that is a testament to SpaceX skill. So I am looking forward to see what we captured. And by the way, don't be irritated if this deployment of the NG-23 payload will be slightly at different timings than on the initial SpaceX website, because sometimes they differ from that. We have seen it in the past where they just deploy a few seconds early, late. There's also some broadcast delay. So always making sure that to mention that, like, if this goes 10 seconds late or 15 seconds late and people are like, oh no, it's stuck. No, just give it time. Just give it time. 2 minutes to deployment. See some, I think we're getting into orbital sunset there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You
That
just see the
looks
sun just barely over the horizon there.
looks kind of cool. Orbital sunset there. So yeah, gonna be some amazing views here as it heads into sunset. Yeah, I'm looking outside and it has started raining here, so I don't think I will see it today. That's rather unfortunate because I think it would have been potentially visible, but hey, can't be
well.
lucky. Oh well. I'm in the lucky position where my window goes into the direction where I can see these kind of like it would have been
nice.
it would have been perfectly aligned for my window, but sadly clouds. As always, it's clouds. So yeah, 40 seconds from now to deployment. And then, of course, the capsule itself also performs a series of burns, right, Cody? It's not just cruising up there.
Right. Yes. This is not a direct path to the ISS. And even if that was true, you'd have to match velocities with the ISS. And so it will do a couple of maneuvers to align itself with the ISS, catch up to it, and then match velocities. And then it will approach the ISS to get caught by the Canadarm2, where then it will be docked to the ISS.
There we go. And deployment should be any second now. Again, expect some orbital, like some delay on the feed. That's normal. But there it goes. Successful deployment of NG-23. Falcon 9 has done its job, and Cygnus is on its way to the International Space Station. Nice. That's great.
Are those lights on the... Or is that the reflection of the sun?
I think that's the reflection. It's barely still in the sun.
Wow.
It's like coasting into orbital sunset right now. Like, this will be very dark in a few seconds from now. Yeah, you can see part of the Cygnus body is already getting dark. Huh. Really interesting. And of course, now also leaving the frame. Goodbye. Wonderful. Cool view of the payload separation mechanism there as well. So, I'm looking at the back channel. Where are we on these replays? So, let's see here. What else? I have some people to thank here. KV Gilly with Super Chat saying, in remembrance of Charlie Kirk, Thank you so much. Then I have GI Draven 2008 becoming a Padred member. Thank you so much. And then we have Kentucky Tim with a super chat saying, "Great job, guys. I like the new camera views, and as always, you all just have the right amount of information and commentary. Kudos." Is that is the access camera information we are getting is also thanks to NASA access on these launches, correct, Sawyer?
Yeah, so NASA does offer what are known as fiber feeds, which are cameras that are set at the pad that we can take and use on our broadcast. In addition to, though, we brought out the Robo Track again, which, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We already talked about that, but like a quick summary, Cody, why does it take 3 days to reach the ISS here when Progress takes it in like a few hours?
It's all about the windows, right? When Soyuz launches happen in just about 2 hours, or 12 hours, like it was said in this question with Progress. That is a very specific launch window when Kazakhstan is aligned. The launch site in Kazakhstan is aligned with the ISS properly. And so this is not necessarily the best launch window we just had here, but it is one that it gets there efficiently. And because they don't need to get there in 12 hours, they're okay trading off that performance to the time. It's all about trade-offs, right? They could always use more fuel to get there faster, right? But sometimes you can't use more fuel. You want to balance that with the mass you have, and blah 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 blah. It's a huge engineering balance between how fast you want to get there, what's your orbital trajectories like, what's the orbital trajectory of the ISS, and what vehicle are you using? Because Soyuz has been in development for ever. It is one of the longest ever launching vehicles, so they've had a lot of time to optimize it, to be able to have it launch in blizzard-like conditions where you can launch in those very once and forever launch windows where you can get there very quick.
There we go. Thank you so much. And I also want to quickly issue the correction. Of course, some of the ground cameras we used were from NASA, but all the tracks we used were from us. So there you go. Then a question for Sawyer, I will throw to you here. How long after the launch is a pad saved for humans to return?
Usually depends. It's usually anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what was launched, were there any hazardous materials, things like that. SpaceX has gotten pretty good at getting the team out there very quick, so they can do a quick turnaround we're seeing here at 40.
Yeah, Sawyer having a bit of connection, but we could still understand everything, so thank you so much for that, Sawyer. Yeah, these pads are quite quickly accessible again. So that is a thing. And there's another question here from Roseanne. Cody, does it target the landing zone autonomously? Like, that's all on Falcon 9, right?
Yeah. Games like Kerbal Space Program might lead you to think that this is all piloted by people, but that would be incredibly hard to do with how landing maneuvers work with Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is autonomous all the way up, all the way down. It's a computer controlling it the entire time. Whenever it lands on a drone ship, that is smaller than that's like a football field sized thing in the middle of the ocean. It's so hard if you were a human trying to achieve that, much less a computer, right? It took so long to dial that in. And so all these maneuvers are provided or done by the computer, by code running on the rocket itself. So same thing with the landing zones on land. They are targeting, the computers will target a specific landing zone and then land. Falcon 9 has to do a very specific type of burn where it has to wait until the last possible second to actually activate its engines so that it reaches zero velocity on the ground. So it'd be very hard to time as a human. Like trying to do that in something like Kerbal Space Program where you can, take control of rockets in a virtual environment. Trying to do a SpaceX-like maneuver takes so many tries to get right.
And to be fair, Kerbal Space Program still like landing in Kerbal Space Program is so much easier than in real life.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just adds to the massive engineering challenge that SpaceX has been able to do.
Absolutely, and I believe we are moving into replays here. starting with a Port Canaveral replay, where the rocket is in the middle. You can see it barely next to the ship. I think that's a bridge. So, and there you can see the Falcon 9 rising in the center of your screen. Wonderful shot. And that's very representative always on how it looks in real life. So I love this camera, especially for that. So there it goes. Goodbye, Falcon 9. That's one of the close-up cameras. You can see the deluge system and everything, and the flame trench absolutely going crazy there. And there it goes. Launchpad getting a bit toasty. And that's one of the wider ones. I believe we also look at the exit here of the flame trench. Yep, there it is. Always very good to see where the exit of the flame trench is. And you can see the TE also flipping back there. Like really trying to get as far away from these engines as possible. That's one from the press site. And Falcon 9 going on the left side here. There you can see it go through the clouds. Wonderful. Really, really amazing launch day, right, Sawyer? Like, I mean, these were very, very picturesque conditions.
Ideal conditions, you might say. Yeah, to have that clear of a view and to have the view all the way through launch and then through the boost back, and to be able to see the entry and landing burns almost all the way down to the ground. If there were not trees in the way, you would have been able to see it all the way down to the ground. It's, yeah, one of the clearest I've seen in a long time.
Absolutely. I think this might be Max track? Jerry track. There we go. I tried to guess it and I always guess wrong. Oh, we're getting audio for this one. Let's listen in. There we go. Wonderful launch audio. I believe we will now go next to landing in a bit. But absolutely gorgeous. There we go. Boost back. And apparently this is very, very sick. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean, look at this. Wow.
Sick or sickness?
Very much sick and sickness. It's like 45 degrees offset. That's crazy.
The angle of attack is very high on this. Just trying to glide back to that pad.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah, in real life, it looks like a glider.
There's the clouds. And then Jerry potentially searching for it again. But that's very, very cool. Very, very cool. That's the max white tracking. There it goes. The shot always shows very well how fast Falcon 9 is. So I love that. Thank you so much. And here's the landing from Max camera. I think it enters on the left side of the screen. Yep, there it is. Hello. And whoop. Well executed launch. Absolutely indeed. Wonderful. Some very, very cool replays here. And some very, very amazing launch. And with that, I believe it is time to... Okay, wonderful. I will not yet say this.
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can get some of my photos up to be able to show it if needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I will start to thank you, sorry, for that. Thanks for being out there today, for your amazing commentary, and also for the fun times today.
You are very welcome. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be out here. I know it's an honor to be able to bring all of this to you guys. So thank you, everyone, for watching, for allowing us to do this.
Absolutely. Cody, thank you so much for being with me here today on commentary.
Thank you. It's always awesome to be able to join NASA Spaceflight out here for the launches here.
And we also had Kevin and Jay producing today's stream, and we have Jerry, Max, Julia, and Dr. WD40 in the field with cameras today. Thank you so much. My name is Adrian Bile. With that, thank you to YouTube and PopSci watchers, and we will see you on the next launch.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Say again, SPD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. Keep red. Turn. We don't need any more of these.